Okay, Lamont, this is a little video tour of all the commercial actives and solds on Main Street. This first one is 260 Main Street. It sold in August of 2012. Just the downstairs commercial area for $1,198,000 or something close to that. The upstairs are the two great, very modern condo suites I showed you years ago that have underground parking. So that's the first comp. Okay, we are across from the Egyptian Theater on Main Street, the famous Egyptian Theater, and this is the site of the old mall. It was an indoor mall, and a guy named Ken Abdullah bought the whole thing, and you can see he's just completely taking it apart. He's going to resurface the front of it. He's going to create, I don't know, some 28 condos at $1,000 a square foot. And it's going to be retail on the bottom floor. And Ken Abdullah, the buyer, has bought now 7 or 8 buildings in the last 2 years on Main Street. Okay, Lamont, we're looking at 562 Main Street. Actually an empty lot now. This was a comp I sent you a while back. It had a 3/4 building, or half of a building, and a half lot below. You can see it on the coloration on the building where the original first half of the building was. And now they've demolished it. So they bought it for $1,008,000, and I don't know what they're building, but obviously great activity. It's on a nice alley back to the parking, and it's in a good section of Main Street. So $1,008,081 was the sales price, basically just for the lot. Right across from 562 Main Street is the Claim Jumper Hotel, and Claim Jumper is a old historic hotel that an investment group out of Southern California just bought about a year and a half ago, and they are rehabbing the entire building, leaving the facade, and it's a historical hotel, and we hear the same thing. They're going to be selling condos for $1,000 a square foot in the upstairs. We're not sure what they'll have on the downstairs. There's some apartments down that alley, or that door there, and a separate entrance. Don't have a sales price on this, but it's a great old building, and they refinished the outside. Just one more sign of everybody improving the existing buildings and hanging on to Main Street. A side note, Lamont, this building is called the Galleria, and I've just sold 2 of these in the last 5 months, and they're 1-bedroom and studio apartments. And I know you said one time that maybe you'd like to have just something on Main Street. So these are an option. They're in the high 200s, and they can be refinished and fixed up really nicely, although some of them are sort of original. 1991 construction, and again, I just sold 2. There's retail down at the bottom. There's some restaurants and a little mall inside there. It's a neat little building with air conditioning. 586 Main Street is a listing. It's actually something I showed you before. It's that building right there with the Yukiyama Sushi building on the retail floor, and then actually they just use the upstairs as office space, so they get no rent out of the upstairs. It's just whatever rent and lease they're getting from the downstairs. It's listed at just under $3 million, and no takers. It's been on the market for a while. I think it's overpriced, but that just gives you a good idea how valuable that 591 Main Street property that I'm showing you is. At currently the same price, or close to the same. Okay, this is the subject property, 591 Main Street. I'm only showing you the front. Of course, it extends way off to the right behind this blue building, but I got a lot of sun blindness when I tried to take that from directly in front. So this is a side shot showing the retail 2 stores down below, and the first 2-bedroom apartment is overlooking Main Street. Then there's another 2-bedroom apartment to the right, and then another a studio, and a 1-bedroom. So 4,800 square feet, listed at $3.2 million, and it could be demolished, and you could go downstairs a level, and most likely upstairs as well, from what we understand. It's not historically, it's not classified as a historical building, so it's a historical site, and you have to go through a process, but it can be raised, just like the one across the street. So I'm nearing the end of the original Main Street, and this hotel is called the Silver Queen. It's old, historical, all brick, well built, and the same gentleman I told you about earlier, Ken Abdullah, bought this for $15 million, and he's renovating it, making, I don't know, some 28 condos. Doesn't even have a roof on it yet. 28 condos with some parking underneath, and it's a big deal. It's at the corner of Heber and Park, our Main Street, and we're eagerly awaiting its finish. Okay, another angle for the Silver Queen Hotel, and well, it's built in 1982, but it's sort of a historical building just because it's on the corner of Old Main Street. And right across the street from it is a recent comp. I do not know what the sales tag was, but this whole building used to be a real estate company that went defunct. It's beautiful inside. It's newly built, probably early 80s, and don't have the square footage. It's pretty large, but it just sold for just under $7 million. And it's at the intersection of Heber and Main Street, and below me and to the left is the continuation of the new Main Street, Lower Main Street, which isn't as, well, most people feel the upper part has a little more cachet. So that's the video tour, and maybe that gives you a sense of value and what things are worth. Okay, a little epilogue here. This building is of interest because you can see the large crane. Take a look at the construction. This is the first of its kind we've seen in Park City. There was an existing building underneath that, and what they have done is created an outside structural I don't know, it's outside basically foundations, a new foundation to support 3 new stories above the original 2. And so they're creating real estate above the air of existing real estate. And that's what Aspen did almost 15 years ago when they were running out of real estate. And so we think that's going to be a trend as well, and that gives you an idea of the subject property I'm talking about, 591 Main Street, how, you know, height restrictions are an issue if you wanted to go another story and raise that building to maximize maybe new construction as one business route. So anyhow, very cool building. We don't really know what it's going to be, but most likely condos with retail below.